Welcome everyone to the world premiere of the all-new Skoda Kodiaq. Here in its second generation, it's got better technology, more features, and a new design. But is it any better, and should you buy it? I hope you've already seen Thomas's episode, but here today I'm going to be showing you more versions, so let's get started. Right away we have the SportLine, and you can tell that this is the sportier version thanks to this blacked out front grille. Speaking of which, do you notice these little LED lights right in the middle? That's something new, and of course an optional extra. Continuing down this, you can see the new headlight design. The cluster consists of two components still, but a new redesign has taken place. You get the Skoda crystal lighting. Of course, they're very proud of that Czech crystal design, so looks pretty cool. Overall, I think the front is a very familiar design. There are bigger changes on the side, so let's go around. The new Skoda Kodiaq is 4.76 meters long, making it 6 centimeters longer than the previous generation, and the majority of that is at the rear overhang because the wheelbase remains the same. What you might also notice as a huge difference now is this large D-pillar, ABCD, there we go. This comes in different colors based on the line, so here in the SportLine it's completely blacked out. You might also notice the strong shoulder line that's retained from the previous version, but there's now this kink in the rear, which looks pretty cool to me. But what do you guys think? The wheels start at 17 inches, but you can get optional larger wheels like the one you see here, which is 20 inches with this very aerodynamic design. The tail lamps are also really different now. Kind of reminds me of Genesis SUV tail lamps. What do you think? But I do like that crystalline design inside. Another good thing is, of course, Skoda's kept it pretty neat in the lower part of the bumper. In standard versions, you don't get any fake exhaust tips, but here in the SportLine, you do get these fake exhaust tips. So, you know, I guess it's kind of now become a common thing that to make something look sporty, you have to have fake exhaust tips. I don't know. Do you like that trend? Let me know. A couple other interesting things. So as you can see, this is the 4x4 version, so there's a lot of different powertrain options and one particularly special powertrain, and we'll talk about that. This Skoda Kodiaq is now on a new platform, so that brings with it some new technology as well, like the DCC Pro, which is the dynamic chassis control, the next generation version of that, now with two valves for the damping system, so for the compression and rebound. So this provides a lot more frequency-sensitive suspension damping, so more comfort, more sporty handling. That's basically what it translates to. Now this isn't the SportLine, so you can see that there is a different color for the grille, including these vertical slats. And again, no chrome. There's more of this gunmetal gray finish, even on the logo. And as we go towards the side, again, this has body-colored outside rear-view mirrors and a shiny roof rail, and also a very shiny D-pillar. So in the SportLine, you get a blacked out glossy black D-pillar. Here it's a lot more shiny. Here's another design of the wheel, but still it's 20 inches. If you're not getting the SportLine, the bumper is also quite different. So you don't have that fake diffuser and fake exhaust tip. Instead, you have a very clean design with this nice gray color that we saw in the front, cutting across right in the middle. And there's just these little kind of scoops or little cuts here, but I wouldn't call them fake exhaust tips. And this, to me, is a nice, neat design. What do you think? Here we have the launch color, Bronx Gold, and with this color, that D-pillar and that silver finish really stands out. This blue color on the SportLine, I think, is probably my favorite, really striking, and with that black accents along the mirrors and the doors, and of course that blacked out D-pillar, this is probably my favorite. I think Thomas would agree with me as well. The Kodiaq comes in 9 different colors. Here's another one in white, and as you can see, this is the IV, or the plug-in hybrid version. All right, I love the simply clever features of the Skodas, and the Kodiaq still retains that door edge protector, which neatly pops out. So cool. And of course, who can forget the Skoda umbrella right here? Perfect. I wish every car maker had this. Like, why not? It's such a great way to utilize that space. Let's take a look at the door shutting sound here in this new platform. Yeah, pretty robust. No shimmies on the B-pillar here, no shimmies along the door frame or the hinges, so solid as we would expect. They've also used a lot of new recycled material, so this material is nice. It has a very rough, coarse, raw kind of texture. I like that. Nice texture here as well, but it's generally hard down there. Ambient lighting. This is nice and soft and padded. being the Sportline, you get the microfiber textile fabric for the interior. Very familiar buttons. Not much to say that this hasn't changed so much. Harder plastics down here, but a felt-lined door bin. And a cavernous one at that. Taking a look inside, well, this is another huge change for the new generation. The design is totally new. I really like how they've tried to make it a much more sculpted appearance on the inside with so many different layers. It's not so plain Jane anymore. So let's hop inside and take a closer look. But before we do that, the seats. You get different seating options and different design lines, which is also pretty interesting and new for the Kodiaq. This being the Sportline, you get sporty seats with the integrated head restraint, and then you get that nice striping in the middle. You also get pneumatic massaging seats, which is pretty cool, and also a new feature for the Kodiaq. And I am afraid with all of these advancements, the price is going to get a little bit higher. We'll have to see what that is. But still, seating position, well, this world premiere has been packed, so people have been changing the seats. I'm going to try to quickly set this to my driving position. The seat is roughly where I would want to have it. And I can say, yeah, it's, again, as spacious as we're used to. So nothing too different. You get different steering wheel designs as well. This is the 3-spoke with the flat bottom for the Sportline. You can see that right there. The standard versions get a 2-spoke steering wheel, and we'll show you that in a couple minutes. But a lot to talk about here, so let's get inside and get into the details. Look at the sophistication here. Nice textured, hard plastic here, but soft touch up there. Dash of ambient lighting right across the middle. I like ambient lighting. I'm a bit of a sucker for that. And this floating 13-inch screen that's taking center stage right here. And hallelujah, real buttons and knobs, but there's a little bit more to this than what you see, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But overall, it definitely feels much more premium than the previous generation. Steering wheels retain physical buttons which have a nice deep press action. I love that. The rollers also have nice knurling and a click sound when you go up and down. So really easy to use when you're driving, and these little indentations also quickly help you identify which button you're pressing. Perfect. This is how it should be. But another critical change now with the new Kodiaq is the transition or the transferring of the gear shift lever to the stalk on the steering wheel. So the column has a stalk which controls the entire gearbox. So this being the 7-speed DSG, you can push the button here for park, and twisting it up and down will go between drive, neutral, and reverse. The 10.25-inch virtual instruments is also updated, so you get a lot more useful information, but I would say nothing new to write home about. You can put the map up there. You can also put different information regarding the temperature and so on and so forth. But what is new is the head-up display. The screen is really high resolution, although it does have a bit of a bezel along the edge. I can forgive that though, because it's very slick. It comes with wired and wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. All right, so now these 3 knobs are super cool. I'm so happy to see that the Volkswagen Group is moving back to hard physical buttons and knobs, but they still retain a bit of modern touch. And what I mean by that is, first of all, okay, this is for my temperature control, but watch this. If I press the button, now it turns to my seat heating control. Then if you had the optional seat ventilation, that would change there. This is not new. I mean, this idea has been there for a long, long time. We've seen this on, for example, Land Rover vehicles. But again, it's nice that you have this option to combine both a digital and an analog kind of interface with the car. Same for this. Now this becomes your drive mode selector. So normal, sport, off-road, so on and so forth. But then this becomes the map feature for the zoom. So you can zoom in and out all the way into Berlin where we are right now with this. So it's really easy. And then furthermore, this is the fan speed and also the volume. I think 4 different settings for one button might be a bit of an overkill, but I get it. I think the fan speed and maybe the volume are the ones you're going to use the most, but then you have to kind of toggle all the way around and come back. But I'm glad that they have this instead of having just the sliders and the touch. Same thing over here, and some standard hotkey buttons over there. Down here, of course, you get 2 USB-C, but also 2 inductive phone charging ports and a tray to keep your phone up there. Down here, you get more interesting storage options, like a really large beverage holder. And again, Skoda's simply clever clamping bottle opening bottle holder. It's a really narrow hole, but you know, these little pegs will hold your water bottle or your Coca-Cola bottle in place when you can unscrew that. And a new simply clever feature is this. What is this? Well, actually, this is a screen wiping cube. So I can use this and wipe the screen. How cool is that? In fact, you can also get one where this comes out and you have a little spray as well. So there's different versions of this, in fact. But really cool, and it fits so neat and snug right there. I like when things have their proper place and everything fits like it should. So overall, I'm really enjoying this new center console with this added practicality, thanks to liberating that space by moving the gear controller to the stock. The door opening is really wide, so getting inside shouldn't be easy, especially putting it in your child seats. So the clamps for the ISOFIX points are very easy to identify. Long straight bench, very inviting, so I'm going to hop inside. Getting in is really easy thanks to that extra ground clearance. I'm 5'8", or about 1.7 meters. This is set to my driving position, so plenty of knee room, plenty of leg room down here. Plenty of headroom as well, and there's also this large panoramic sunroof option, but it does open, so points for that. And also, the door is actually really nice. Oftentimes you see that rear doors have poor materials compared to the front, but here it's not that bad. Yes, this is a little bit harder, but in general, it doesn't feel Spartan. Simply clever features like the blinds for the window. And, of course, you have an iPad holder, different door pockets for different items. But another new simply clever feature is down here. You have this organizer. If you're going to be using this as just a two-seater here in the middle row, then you can leave this in and you can organize your items. But if you do want a third passenger to sit here, you can get rid of this, and now they have space for their feet. And as before, the middle row slides forward and backwards, and also reclines forward and backwards. So everybody can find a comfortable position here in the Kodiaq. So let's check how the space in the back seat is. This bench is all the way in the rear position. I'm going to keep the backrest at a very vertical position, so it's not leaning back. And let's see if I slide this bench forward. Of course, that's probably easier. Getting inside is, not the easiest. But again, it's not terrible. Wow. 5'8". So let me just get the headrest up. Oh boy. No, there's no way in hell I can fit inside back here. This is way too tight. I'm really congested. This is for kids only. But if you do have the middle row all the way to the front, I think I would be okay sitting here for like 10 minutes, 20 minutes. But definitely for kids. But unfortunately, there are no ISOFIX points for the rear too, so you can't really put child seats back here. So it's a bit hit and miss, but I think it's nice to have this versatility, and there's plenty of storage space even with the 7-seat version, so it's nice to have on that off occasion that you need to fill 7 passengers. All right, now we have the non-SportLine version. So here the design is a little bit different. You can already see on the seats, this is the animal skin version. Of course, you get the animal-free options. The head restraints are also different. And the steering wheel is different. So here there is only 2 spokes, but it kind of just seems like they snipped the third spoke out of the way. So I don't think it's a very different design. It doesn't have a flat bottom, but the buttons and the functions are all the same. The grip is not perforated. But if you look on the inside, there's also different designs here that you can take. Like instead of that shiny metallic effect, here this is like a very soft vinyl with a checkered pattern, and of course you have this brown material here and the soft touch retained. So different design options so that you can really personalize the car to your taste. There's also wood, so I always like wood in a car. And you can take a look inside. This car doesn't have the panoramic sunroof, so this is how it would look with a light colored roof liner, which is also what I recommend. A lighter color roof liner really makes the car seem brighter and therefore more spacious. Between the two, I kind of like this version because I've also driven the Kodiaq VRS. Check out that review. There should be a link in the description and you can see how sporty the current gen could have gotten. And I never felt that was really that sporty. I would rather have this car as a family 7-seater off-road capable wagon, and that's what this here represents to me. Of course, with animal-free seats instead. On the hatch, you also see the new Skoda lettering. I do like this. It's very modern. Let's take a look inside the trunk now. So with the 5-seater version, of course this is the 7-seater, you get more volume. You get 910 liters of boot space, and if you put the seats down in the 5-seater, you get 2,105 liters. Here in the 7-seater, it's not as much, of course, because these seats do occupy a bit of space when they're folded down. But that being said, even with the seat up, this luggage capacity has also increased now by 70 liters. So I think this is a big advancement. I think this is a great feature to have just because when you have 7 people inside and you're going on a holiday, you do need a lot of loading space. So definitely very useful here. And overall, those simply clever features are also stuff that I really like. So you have like a flashlight inside. You also have, of course, the way to tumble the middle row with these tabs here. They don't fall all the way flat on their own. You have to go inside and push them down. But again, plenty of usable space. If you have a plug-in hybrid version, further space is eaten up down here, but you also get an actual spare wheel. How often nowadays do you see spare wheels? Well, that's also because Skoda is the Skoda Kodiaq is a hugely popular model worldwide. And a lot of markets, especially Asian markets, do demand spare tires. So Skoda is catering to all their different markets because they know how important this Kodiaq is. So the Kodiaq comes with petrol, diesel, and, wait for it, a plug-in hybrid version. Yes, finally. So the petrol starts with a 1.5 liter TSI, made it to a 7-speed DSG, making 150 horsepower and only front-wheel drive. You get the 2 liter TSI, which can also be had as all-wheel drive, and of course with the 7-speed DSG. Talking about diesels, they're both the 2 liter TDI, but 2 states of tune are available. So you get 150 horsepower as well as 193, both 7-speed DSG, and the top model gets all-wheel drive. So now the plug-in hybrid comes with a 20 kilowatt-hour net battery with the 1.5 TSI, a 6-speed DSG, and front-wheel drive with a combined output of 204 horsepower. I would expect a realistic all-electric range of about 80 kilometers. I think they claim 100. We have to test that out. But it also comes with fast charging, so you can top it up within 30-40 minutes. So pretty good real-world usability. And once we get our hands on this car, we will try to do a test to thoroughly check if that is real. So Skoda Kodiaq was already a runaway success, and it seems like the second generation just made everything that was good even better. But make sure you're subscribed, hit that notification icon, because pretty soon we're going to get to drive the Kodiaq, and we'll give you our final verdict. Till then, why don't you check out one of these other videos? Thanks for watching.